Welcome. One more time we meet each other again. I'm really glad to bring to all of you a little bit more of my knowledge on the tech industry for all of you to make it easier and more understandable for you, all of you, for the beginners and mid-level, intermediate level savvy people out there. Today, I would like to go over with a very simple um, video, which is actually how to set up your Wi-Fi extenders and router at home. Um, there's a small disclaimer that I would like to go over with you. You have to keep in mind that when it comes to the Wi-Fi, um, it's a signal. It's out there in the air. Some people out there believe that the Wi-Fi can be manipulated from point A to point B and you can make it travel. Like, for example, this diagram I used it for one of my videos previously, so I believe that it will be the perfect one for me to use it this time on this. Some people think right here the router will send the signal and it's gonna go through these stairs all the way up to where you are. And in fact, it works in such a way which is gonna pretty much send the signal all over like crazy. But some people think that it should travel through the way and getting exactly like that, and it's being controlled. It should be controlled and manipulated. No, it doesn't work like that. Wi-Fi is a crazy signal. It goes all over and it reaches wherever it can. Okay, so you have to understand that every people home are not built under the same way. There are some basic that you have to understand when it comes to installing a router. Several things can affect the best improvement, the best enhancement of your connection in your home, and it's actually the way that your walls are constructed. The materials that are being used on within your walls could be a factor. Don't expect that just because you went to your neighbor's house one day and you got a perfect connection and your home and your neighbor's actually home is actually on built as timber frames and yours is a brick house. Don't expect that your home is gonna actually have a better connection or a similar connection because you both have the same service and as your neighbor had timber frames and material in the house, so the Wi-Fi signal should travel through easier than somebody that has building material like a brick, stuff like that. So there are many things that you have to have in consideration. There are some people that have open concepts like this one on the bottom. If you notice, there's no walls in between, only this metal pipe, I believe. I don't know what material we should be done this, but this piping here is to hold this espiral ladder, step ladder that goes all the way to the second floor. But this is open concept down here. It should be a very easy. You see that the far ray that this router actually displayed from here all the way to here, where this guy was standing here. It's an open concept. The router will get you all the way through because it's open right here. So it and here's that Wi-Fi extender which will get you there. It all depends. If you Google, there will be an estimate of how can I say that, Wi-Fi points or Wi-Fi equipment inside of the house require that you're supposed to have base per square feet. This is Google. You can Google out there. It will tell you that if you have one router or one device, it will be like the coverage between these two will be between 1 1,000 to 1,500 square foot. If you have two Wi-Fi devices, they should be between 1,500 to 3,000 square foot coverage. And if they are three Wi-Fi devices, like a router and some extenders, it will cover you around 3,000 to 4,000. 2,500 to 5,000. 4,000. Square foot. Again, I just want to emphasize that the coverage estimates are normally for homes that are with timber frames. Other homes that are built on a different way with bricks and sheetrock, stuff like that, are expected to have a different coverage between them. There are many people that complain about the Wi-Fi signal nowadays, and why it doesn't work in here, and when I go to some place it works. There are many factors. Another thing that I would like to go, which these are the factors that I would like to mention, is most of the time it's recommendable that when you're going to install your router, and it doesn't matter the company that you go on, you have to make sure that your router is built or is installed on the primary floor, on the main floor of your home, where you most likely will be using or where most likely you're gonna be in the house using your devices. Some people have seen them that they just try to be fancy and make sure that everything looks like so clean in the house, and they try to hide the router behind the TVs, you'll be surprised. There's some people who put their routers in the cabinets or some closet, or I've seen other cases in where they put the routers behind the couch on the floor, because they don't want those wires to be exposed, because they don't want the router to be seen. They want a clean, nice concept in the house, which I don't blame them. But there are different things that you can go to the other stores, and like warehouse stores like Home Depot, Lowe's. I don't want to mention any name because I don't want to, I don't get paid for them. So, but you can go and buy some type of frames that will cover on the wall the wires that travel all over around the house, and it will make very nice, neat concept. Set up around your walls. It's not gonna look bad. But people actually go wrong like that, hiding the router like that, and end up hurting themselves when it comes to the connection between point A to point B. Another case that I have seen is that certain people let the technician to install the router in the basement. That's a no. Do not let the technician to install the router in your basement. Technically speaking, the router should be installed at the highest point of the house. I would say the attic. Yes, you will be surprised, but if the highest the router is, the better. If you have a one-family house, two-level house, make sure that your router is all the way on the top, because that's the best way that the router will give you a better coverage. If you put them in the basement, most likely you're going to end up using Wi-Fi extender, and that's additional money that you could be saving for something else. I'm not saying that the Wi-Fi extenders are bad. It will enhance your Wi-Fi connection for sure, but why do you have to buy a Wi-Fi extender when you already can set it up in such a way that will magnify and it would enhance and would actually be spread around the home without any problem? Assuming that your home is set up in such a way that the Wi-Fi signal will travel without any problem. The only way I would recommend to install your router in the basement is if your basement is one of the sections of their home that you spend most of the time with your computer and devices in there. That's the only way, the only time that I would recommend you to allow to get your router installed in the basement. There are other reasons why I wouldn't recommend the router to go to the basement. When a field tech goes to install your router in the basement, most likely they install it close to the demarc point box, which is the box that goes from outside or inside, that will actually spread, that will connect from the pole into your home and spread the services inside of the home. They connected right next to each other, and sometimes the router, when it's really close from the panel boxes, electrical panel boxes on electrical meter, boy, your Wi-Fi connection doesn't work really well. When the router is actually submerged, surrounded of so many machinery, engines and boilers, and RF signal and stuff like that, it disturbs the Wi-Fi connection. That's why you're gonna see many drops, because you have so many stuff going on in the basement, so many wires, so many pipes, and that's the problem. That's the reason why you end up having Wi-Fi extender, because your router is in the basement being exposed with so many signals. Don't do that. So having said this, you have, to ensure that you have a really good Wi-Fi connection in your home, you have to make sure that you use different Wi-Fi extenders in your area. For example, right now I can see that you have, if you can see on this diagram right now, there are different Wi-Fi extenders. I don't know if you have noticed it, but these little boxes that I'm pointing with my mouse right here, with my pointer, right here, and no, that he doesn't have anything in the bathroom. That would be crazy. And right here are Wi-Fi extender. This guy, this diagram in this house, this customer, this person has 3 Wi-Fi extenders. I think it's a little bit crazy, because from this point where the router is at, he can actually get connection to the next level without any problem. Now here is the bathroom. You don't need a Wi-Fi extender in the bathroom. Let's say you have some TV, that you actually stream and do some streaming while you're taking a shower. You would like to check everything. Some people, you will be surprised, some people have them because they are stockbrokers and stuff like that. They deal with the Wall Street, and they will need to see the news wherever they are, and they need streaming, unless you wire your wires with a cable box all the way in. But this is not the case, and I don't want to go too deep on that. The router can get, but again, I don't know the roof, the second, this line intersection between the rooms and the first floor. I don't know what is that made of, but there are cases that I'm pretty sure that subscribers would be like having a situation where this line here is the roof level between the second floor and the basement and the first floor, or the basement and the first floor, and that that roof or floor is actually built in such a way that if Wi-Fi signal doesn't go through, and a Wi-Fi extender is a must. So for you to end up doing this, you have to analyze first if you're actually having poor signals. If you have poor signals around the house, you definitely have to understand that you're gonna need to have a Wi-Fi extender. The question comes to, how many Wi-Fi extender do I need? You gotta actually start to test your own Wi-Fi connectivity in the house with your own device, and walk around to see how far away you're capable to get with your Wi-Fi connection. Again, this is the perfect scenario of this diagram. It doesn't mean that you gotta end up using 3 Wi-Fi extenders. I've seen customers with 4 bedrooms, apartment or house, and they only need one Wi-Fi extender. They don't need that many, and the connection works all over every house. But again, it's the way that your house is constructed. Now, Another thing that you have to understand is that the Wi-Fi signal can be disturbed if you have the following: if you have fluorescent light in the house, if you have baby monitors, if you have microwave. If you're using the microwave, you can have for sure that you're gonna lose the Wi-Fi signal if you're close to it. Another thing is that the walkie-talkie. If you have kids in the house with walkie-talkie and you're doing some exam, make sure that your kids don't grab the walkie-talkie at that particular moment, because you're gonna lose the connection if you're actually going Wi-Fi. Let me see what other things I can think of. Yes, as explained before, in the basement, if you have your router too close to electrical meters, electrical, the panel boxes, or if your demarc point box is actually installed too close to the electrical meters, that will actually cause some interference in your home. And you're gonna be thinking that the internet service provider is the responsible of your problem, and it's not. It's pretty much the problem in your home. And it doesn't matter how many times you reboot the router, how many times you reset the cable box, the router. It doesn't matter how many times you reboot the main box of the company that you actually getting the service of. You're gonna still having the same problem, because there's a third-party device in your home that is causing the interference, and you need to get rid of it, or at least to isolate it. Pretty much. And this is an example I would like to go over with you. In largest homes, or homes where there is a extremely high usage of data, it might be possible that the internet service provider cannot enhance the connection from one point to another without creating a coverage performance issue into another part of the home. What I'm trying to say is that, imagine that this is a mansion, the one that you can see in this diagram. There are people that have, oh my gosh, like 20 rooms. I just don't want to exaggerate, but yeah, there are people in here that have a huge house, and they're expecting to have Wi-Fi all over. My recommendation to that is, to this particular people that has such as mansions, is to wire your home all the way with Ethernet cable, so you have an internet outlet in every single section of your room, and there you can actually connect a very cheap Wi-Fi extender, because I gotta tell you, they are expensive. Wi-Fi extenders, there are some internet service providers that provide them. They are really good, really fancy, and very, very exceptional, but they are expensive. You have to be a little bit more proactive. I don't know if you have so much money to spend, but it will be beneficial for you if you have to install outlets all over the house. If you don't want to spend such amount of money, or you don't want to spend such amount of time doing that type of stuff, then yeah, Wi-Fi extender is the way to go. But you have to understand that the router has to be, strategically speaking, at the center of the home, or specifically where you're gonna be using the Wi-Fi most of the time, and then the Wi-Fi extender have to go all around it. Okay. Pretty much that's what it is. I don't want to actually go and extend myself too much on this, but the synchronization between these are really simple. It's just plug in and play as you go. The router will definitely identify the next device. They have to be comparable. There are certain companies out there that for a specific type of router, they have a specific type of Wi-Fi extender, so you have to be careful with that. Some people opt up to go and buy a third-party Wi-Fi extenders and they don't work as they expected, but some of them are universal, so you have to make sure that you can get one of those. But for a better performance, try to pair yourself with the Wi-Fi extender that the internet service provider is providing you, so you have a better communication with the router that you currently have. If you have a third-party router, then you don't have to go with that. Just buy yourself in Amazon and do your own research, of course. There are really great Wi-Fi extenders out there that you can even connect to the electrical outlet. You don't have to go crazy and waiting for an electrical for an internet outlet out there for you to be able to connect. Okay, this is the diagram to give you an idea how it's supposed to be going. Again, make sure that you don't have those devices that I told you. Some of them actually can cause you a nightmare, and you keep thinking and calling the internet service provider company and accusing them that their service is not providing you what you're paying for. You got to make sure that you actually isolate all those third-party devices, because unfortunately, technically speaking, by science, these devices can distortion the bandwidth and I mean the connection of the Wi-Fi around your home, and it happens a lot. I can make a big sample like New York, where these people live in buildings, apartments. I mean, your neighbor downstairs might have a very powerful device that might generate this type of infrared signal, this type of signal that might distortion your Wi-Fi. Unfortunately, there's nothing you can do to get rid of your neighbor downstairs, and I mean, there's no way to find out. And there are many people who get discouraged of continuing with such company, thinking that they never provide, they don't have a good service, and it's not that. It's just where you live, unfortunately, you are exposed with certain radioactivity or connections or infrared signals, some signals that are not friendly with your router. Again, your router has different pathways to travel your Wi-Fi signal. You can actually call your internet service provider and they can teach you how can you change the pathway. And if there's a particular pathway that you're being affected, you can change it a different one, and it will help you to improve your connection. Alright? If you have further concerns about this, don't hesitate to let me know. Put your comments in